Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
This is Alicia DeBrow with Insight Media. Today I get the privilege to interview Ed Bracey. Ed helps driven leaders to exceed their expectations through pragmatic, insightful examination of their activities and monitoring their accomplishments for success. Ed believes we can accomplish seemingly impossible tasks if we are willing to eliminate the distractions preventing us from the success we desire. So without further ado, I want to welcome Ed Bracey to the show. Hi, Ed. Welcome to the show.
Well, hi. How are you today, Alicia? Thank you for this privilege to share some time with you today.
Oh, no, the privilege is mine. This is going to be a great interview. Let's get right into it. Tell me a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
First of all, I'm the oldest of two sons. My father was a local postmaster and my mom the local cosmetologist, so they're both known in the community as servant leaders. My brother is an international flight attendant, and he and I both graduated from colleges in our home state here in South Carolina. Him from Clemson, the new national football champs, and me from the Citadel, where I had a 4-year academic scholarship. I served as an officer in the Marine Corps. And after leaving the Marines, I began my career in business development. And since that time, I've hired and trained, coached, and counseled several sales dream teams that exceeded their annual goals for over 24 years. I love business like most people love sports.
Nice. So can you tell me a little bit more about, who do you help and how do you help them?
Well, it's very interesting how I came into this. My last sales management position took me from being more of that boss leader type of person to much more of a facilitator. That particular sales team was spread across North America, and I ended up doing most of my work remotely with everyone. So that transformation enabled me to view my position much more from a different perspective. So now what I do is I help people as a strategic advisor. They're doing the work, but what they need is advice. So normally I connect with people who are at a crossroads in their life and or their business, and they find me, and then they move into their new life with greater clarity as a result of our meeting and our continued relationship.
What made you want to become a coach?
In actuality, I've been a coach for quite some time. I say it's as natural to me as sunshine in Florida. During my work career, I had 8 specific mentors, and each was instrumental in my business growth. Each one taught me a specific business skill that helped me move forward. One hiring, one training, one taught me how to coach, another how to counsel, another fiscal responsibility, counting your money every day, another how to balance your career with your family life, another to have a spiritual focus, and also one who taught me how to stay motivated. So each one contributed to my establishment as a coach, and I've used all those tools that they've given me to help others.
That's a well-rounded education.
Oh, it was great.
So what is your role as a coach? What would you say your role is?
Well, I look at it from a couple of different perspectives. First of all, my initial role is to find out the real why of what drives you to do what you do. Okay? And once we determine your why, we also must determine an immediate goal. Once we get those things out front, we can set you on a strategy to accomplishing that immediate goal. And then we start looking at other intermediate strategies, including goals and separating goals from desires. Once we understand what's really pragmatic and practical, as opposed to what is more whimsical, then we can determine that difference and focus in and hone you in on those goals very quickly.
What are some typical reasons that somebody would work with a coach? What do you find that most of those reasons are?
What I find is most people are very talented, and they reach a point where their talents aren't getting them to the place that they want to be. And that's normally when they find me. When we talk, they tell me, I was asking for help, I was seeking help, and boom, I come across you through either referral or finding you on LinkedIn or something like that. And then I love to hear that, by the way, because it lets me know that they have exhausted everything that they believe that they can do. And now it's time to get the advice of someone who talks to people like them all the time. Okay. And once we enter into our relationship with that proper mindset that we can get things done, we actually accomplish a lot very quickly. So I tell people, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, if you're frustrated, if you feel you don't have the winning tools to get you where you want to go, my toolbox is large. And we can plan our work from there and then work our plan. That's simple.
And give me some examples of, which hurdles that you find that most of your clients have in common.
It's no great mystery. What I find initially with most people is indecision. And the reason they have indecision is they don't have enough information to make a proper decision. So they're going through that process I call the paralysis of analysis. They continue to analyze things as they see them, and they don't necessarily have enough proper input to move them from that point that they're at. So what we do is once we identify that particular point that they're at, that frustration that they're going through, they're getting opinions sometimes from people. I'll give you an example. Why would anyone accept career advice at a bar on Friday after work? What qualifies that person who's sitting beside you, who's probably drinking just like you are, to give you advice? And I can't tell you how often I hear people tell me, well, I heard this guy tell me so-and-so, or this person said this. And I always ask them, well, how are they qualified to give you that type of information? And the only qualification was the fact that they were sitting next to them. Okay.
So the other qualification?
That is not a qualification, no. Or they're sitting in the airline seat right beside me. That kind of thing. The other thing I find that I run into is so many business people don't have formal records of what they're doing. They are good at what they're doing because they've done it for so long, and they could literally do it with their eyes closed. But they have no files in case something should happen to them to hand to someone so the business can continue on. That is a real crippling aspect to anyone who's involved in that business should something happen to them, whether they decide to sell the business or whether, they become incapacitated or anything like that. So all these issues come together to really boil down to one thing: to have a proper plan and then to execute that plan. And you're going to get feedback whether you go in a correct manner or whether you go in an incorrect manner. But the bottom line is to take that information and to use it for your betterment in the future.
So what do you think that sets you aside from other coaches in your industry? I mean, there's a lot of coaches.
Sure. I truly believe are two things. Number one is experience. I have experience with so many types of businesses and in numerous industries. Sales, of course, marketing, social media, sports, the medical industry, ministry, entertainment. I coach people in all those different areas. And along with that, I also coach people who are coaches also. So one of the things we all agree on is that we have to be honest about what's going on in our lives. And then once we're brutally honest about that, then we can literally sit down and begin to map out a solution to that situation. And once we do that, that is the key to moving forward. And I think my forte is getting to that real space where people can give me that honest feedback of what's actually going on in their business or in their lives. And once we get there, then we're on the grounds to moving forward. But you have to get there first.
Clear up. Give me maybe one myth or misconception that most people have about, business or life coaches. Is there one that you could clear up for us?
There's actually two that we constantly run into. Number one, I've had people tell me, well, my situation is beyond help. We've done this, we've done that, and it hasn't worked, and I don't see any way I can change the situation around. And that's not true. That means that you've limited yourself to your experience, to your knowledge. And what coaches do, we're just like surgeons or specialists. We come onto the scene and we bring that knowledge and that technical expertise that we have to help you in a way that you may have never even considered before. And along with that, on the opposite side of the coin, we get the person who seemingly knows everything. Okay, I've tried this. I know what I'm doing, and what can you tell me? That type of thing. And I always have to laugh because I always ask them this question. If you truly know it all, you should have the success that you're seeking. Why are you not having the success that you're seeking? And that's where we begin our conversation.
That's bringing it down to a real level.
Absolutely.
And okay, so how long would you work with one of your clients?
That really depends on the client. My newest client started with me last week, and my most tenured client has opened several businesses since I've been coaching them, and they've been with me over 12 years. So my door is open anytime someone wants to gain another perspective, get some new knowledge, because I will research. If I don't have the knowledge, I have other coaches that I can refer to. And just like doctors, we conference with one another. And if we don't feel that we have the best answer, we'll go to the person that we feel may be able to help us, and in turn, help our client. Because it's all about helping the client move forward.
That's definitely true. So how is coaching delivered? Explain to me that, because I'm not sure that I know that I would like to know the answer to that.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Say, for instance, you have an illness. You're not feeling well that day. And you go in to see a doctor, and the doctor looks at you and all of a sudden starts pronouncing, you probably need this or you need that. You wouldn't have too much confidence in that doctor, would you?
No.
Okay. Well, that's how the coaching process works. First of all, we have an initial assessment. We need to determine, first of all, if you're a client for us and if we're the coach for you. Because I'm not for everyone, and everyone definitely is not for me. And after that assessment, whether it's a personal assessment or an assessment for your corporation, your business, I lay out a 90-day plan that we must mutually agree to. And once we lay out that plan, there are milestones, there are obligations. We get started on that plan, and that's how we proceed.
Okay.
That's how it starts.
Okay. So what could I expect the outcome to be if I was going to hire you as my coach? What could I expect the outcome to be?
I know that I'm doing a very good job if I start getting feedback within 24 to 48 hours that the client has a greater sense of peace of mind. They now have a more definitive path to follow, and they're automatically seeing results having taken the actions that we've talked about. Now, along with that, there should be an experience of an uptick in profits in their business. There should be a more efficient guidelines within expenses. So all these things come together that reflect on how much better things are today than they were yesterday or the day before. And along with that, I normally get a much greater engagement with the client. And by that, what I mean is this. I'll get text, I'll get phone calls, and I'll hear things like this. Ed, when we started, I didn't really want to tell you this, but this is what I'm seeing now, and I feel so much more confident about what we're doing. That makes me feel fantastic because it lets me know I'm getting the job done.
That actually brings me right to my next question, which is, how could one of your clients, measure the coaching process? How is that measured?
Okay. Well, when we sit down and do that initial 90-day plan, we have guidelines that are established that are realistic. And within those guidelines, they should normally see us approaching those. And then when we surpass them, they're like, wow, I see what you're talking about now by having a written plan to get things done. So there's going to be things in writing that have to be accomplished. And if we don't inspect those things, we can't expect those things. So that's how they get immediate feedback as to whether we're on course or if we're veering to the left or to the right. And as long as we have those goals out there in front of us and we're monitoring them as we should, the feedback is automatic.
So why do you think hiring coaches works? I mean, is it just the accountability? What makes it work?
I'll tell you, I believe some people get caught up in the business of business. We almost are hypnotized in what we do on a daily basis. We go to our jobs or we go to our work or whatever it is that we're engaged in our craft, and literally we flow through our talents, but we never take the time to make the small adjustments that can take us from being, a regional person to an international superstar, even though we may have the talents to be that international superstar. As long as we're in that same pattern of regularity, of rote memorization, of doing the same thing over and over again, it's very similar to some college professors who teach the same course out of the same book for 20 years. Knowledge changes over 20 years for sure. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we need to keep ourselves sharp. And that's what coaches do. Coaches keep us sharp.
Give me a few practices that somebody can implement immediately to begin to overcome their emotional hurdles or their business hurdles. What are some things that they can do today to start changing their environment?
Okay. One of the things that troubles me often when I listen to people is I hear them talking about the problems that they have. And the first thing I want them to do as we talk is let's determine the source of that problem. Okay? Oftentimes, we're making decisions based on fear. I need to do this so we can maintain the business, as opposed to I need to do this because it's best for the business. Give you a prime example. I've heard people tell me that, I can't let this person go because of X, Y, and Z. And then you look at their bank account and they literally can't afford to have that person or this other person. And you literally have to look them in the face and say, listen, those two people, you can help them possibly transition to someplace else. But if you don't, your whole business is going to go right down because right now you can't afford to have them on board. So let's be frank about saving the business and understand that these two people are going to have to find something else to do. I hate to do that, but oftentimes we have to do that in some situations. And when you engage someone who's qualified, who has experience with this type of thing, you find that later on, if you're honest with people, you tell them the reasons that this is going down, they'll understand, because they know eventually they're not going to have a job either, because no one else will have a job. So we must be good about determining the source of the problem first. Once we understand that, we can eliminate the catastrophic occurrences that eventually come about, okay? And we can continue to build upon a greater foundation in the business. And that's one of the things that's very important to me, finding out the true source of the problem. Oftentimes the problem that's stated is not the real problem. There's another problem behind that. And once we find that out, and I do that through interviewing, questions and answers, and then we can move forward.
So if you were to give one piece of advice to somebody that maybe is looking to take their business to the next level, what would that be?
I would ask them, first of all, why do you feel at this point you want to go to the next level? Are you mentally prepared for the growth that you're about to take on? It's great and it's prestigious to have this booming business, but are you mentally ready for that? And what I always tell people is find yourself daily a little space where things can be quiet, whether it's inside your car, whether it's a remote office or whatever, and have a meeting with yourself and grade yourself. Talk about, did you accomplish today, or are you accomplishing today what you planned yesterday? And as we continue to grade ourselves on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, we actually become so much better in what we do, because we literally remove ourselves, just like any other practitioner might do, from the emotional side of the business, and we look at the business for what it is. And that's what I want people to do. Get that mentality of growing for the right purpose and not an incorrect purpose.
One more question for you.
Sure.
If somebody wanted to get a hold of you for your services and wanted to hire you as a coach, how would they go about doing that?
Very easy. I have a presence on Facebook under Ed Bracey Coaching, and I have a link to my website on that particular page. I'm also on LinkedIn under Ed Bracey, Bracey, and I also have my link there to my website. And also you can give us a call here at area code 407-580-2727. And I do welcome inquiries. And as I said, I may be the person for you, I may not. But we never know until we have a conversation. So I invite people to contact us.
Well, Ed, I want to say thank you so much for your time today.
You know what? I appreciate it. And I always love talking about coaching. In my heart of hearts, I want to see everyone who desires success to exceed their expectations. And I look forward to helping as many of your guests as I can.
This was a great interview. I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate your time and your knowledge and your expertise. All right, guys.
Thank you.
You just heard from Ed Bracey, and this is your host, Alicia Debrell from Insight Media. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.